Hi all, this is Skate, and yes, I have a new intro, finally. I hated my old intro. It was too long, it was too annoying. This one, some people are going, well, it's quite bland or generic. Yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I wanted something short and sweet, which just got a very, very quick point across that it's a video I made. That's it. That's all I wanted from an intro. And it's generic, so I can use it on all of my videos, World of Warships, Blitz, or whatever. I can just throw that at the start of any video now, and it's short and sweet. Aside from that, I do really like it, and I have a gent by the name of Nova Works to thank for that. He makes cinematic Blitz trailers, so go and check his channel out. And my friend, thank you very much for making that short, sweet, quick intro for me. But this video isn't about my intro, it's about update 4.6, and the common server has just gone live in Russia, so I've logged in and tried to, basically, before looking at the Chinese line, the first thing I did was sift through to see what has changed on certain tanks. For example, the T110E5 spinning around on the screen at the moment. Anything missing? Yes, that commander's hatch has been shrunk massively. When I was in Minsk, one of the things they mentioned is they're going to reduce the rate of fire and so on and so forth, and improve the armour elsewhere. So far, none of that has happened. So just to clarify, from what I can see from the stats in the game, nothing has changed with this tank except for it's had a little bit lobbed off the top. Now, I took it out for 2 games on the RU Common Test server. I'll put the 2 games in this video while we talk about some other funny buffs and nerfs made to the game. But yeah, just bear that in mind. That is the only thing which has happened to this tank. They've lobbed the top off. Nothing else has happened with the tank as far as I can see. For example, when someone's looking slightly away from you, those cheeks are still a very, very easy pen. So the same as previous, always try and point your gun at whatever's shooting at you just to stop people penning those cheeks. Same as on an E50M. It's better hull down. It's still just as mobile, and it still has the same DPM. Also, on a very quick side note before I forget, the Jaegeru at tier 10, the Jagdpanzer E100, its heat penetration has been dropped from 420 to 380. Usually when we get closer to the updates, Wargaming give the contributors a full list of what is changing on the tanks, so we can make videos to let you know closer to the time. However, I made this video from trawling to the garage and comparing them side by side. So we could be missing some things like gun depression changes or terrain resistance changes if there are any. So this is a list of things which I have found in the garage just by having a nose, and I wanted to share as soon as I could. The first thing being the Lowe has been buffed, which I will show you now, followed by a quick bit of gameplay. At present, this thing has 120mm of frontal armour, 120mm of frontal turret armour, all very well sloped, and 80mm sides and rear on both. In update 4.6, this will receive 150mm to the frontal armour. Now, if you ask me, the Lowe is already a very, very good tank. Add an extra 30mm of frontal armour to the lower plate and the upper plate. Then take into consideration the upper plate is angled back, so the effective thickness goes up even further. Yeah, it's going to be quite strong, that front upper plate. The Object 268 has also received a nerf. Basically, it was overcooked, and we all know it was a little bit overpowered, so it's been toned back ever so slightly. At present, the rate of fire on the Object 268 is 4.49. It's now been dropped back to 4.17. So, DPM is currently 2,875. It's now going to be 2,668, which brings it more in line with the Foch 155's 2,650. And man, I gotta get myself a quieter mouse. Well, you can probably hear me scrolling back and forth. On the left screen, I've got the stats from 4.6, and I got the stats on the right-hand side from 4.5, and I'm comparing to see what differences have been made. Usually we get the information from Wargaming, coming update time, so I can make a video. However, I thought I'd try and pull them out of the common test server so we can get them as quick as we can for you. I had a look at the Death Star, guys. I can't see any changes, but I threw it in just so you could see for yourself. Next comparative, T62A. I have found a difference. This can't be... No, it's just wrong. T62A, ladies and gentlemen, has been buffed. It now has the stock gun dispersion, or the same gun dispersion as a Leopard 1. Why does this tank need another buff? The accuracy, though, has gone from 0.307 to 0.288. You can see it on the screen there, just below dispersion at 100 meters. Again, there may be things changed behind the in-game stats I can't see. We'll have to wait until it comes out, or Wargaming give us the figures. However, as it stands, what I can see is it's had a buff from 0.307 to 0.288. Now, the next one I pulled out is a very interesting one. The Churchill Gun Carrier. Probably the worst tank at tier 8. Look at the frontal hull armour on the screen. That says 130mm of frontal armour. At the moment, in the game, this tank has 88mm of frontal armour, and it's about to receive 130mm of armour. Its gun's been buffed to hell and back. It was just its survivability because of its armour. Now you're going to have more armour and one hell of a gun. Then we've got the Flat Panzer, or Jagdpanzer 4. This thing has had a couple of changes. Currently, the traverse speed's a absolutely outrageous 60. It's been dropped to 42 in update 4.6. Also, the aim time has been buffed on the 88 L56. It's now 3.2 instead of 3.5. So it's been nerfed in terms of track by a third, which is quite a chunk, but it's received a 0.3 second better aim time. Then the M36 Jackson. This has also received quite a tasty buff, actually. In terms of rate of fire, at the moment, the rate of fire is 7.36 on the top tier 7 90mm gun. If you look at the screen, in the garage in 4.6, the rate of fire has gone up to 9.34. That is quite a nice buff, and this tank has always been overshadowed by the Hellcat. I'm guessing we may see a couple more of them on the battlefield now. That's all I could find for now, just by going through and comparing basically a garage in 4.6 and a garage in 4.5. When Wargaming confirm, which is usually closer to the update, what is changing on the tanks, I'll make a video as soon as I can. But I thought you guys may be interested to see what we can find, which is being changed. Now, the RU common test server is a bit of a weird one. Check out the matchmaker. Yeah, it's 5 versus 5. But I'm not against bots, so it's nice at least that I can give you some form of indication on the tanks. So this is the first thing I took out, was the T110E5. And check it out with no hatch. But if you cheek, well, check it out, look. Without the hatch, people are going to be focusing more on the cheeks. And unless you're pointing your gun at the target, even if you're just poking the ridge a little bit, you'll get that cheek all day long, like we did there. Oh, one thing I need to point out, you'll notice me miss the fire button several times. Because this is a contributor account which was set up for me on the common test server, hence the shed loads of gold in the garage. But because it's a new contributor account, all the buttons are off, and they still feel off, so I keep missing everything. Nonetheless, though, this gives a nice indication of what the tank is like. The other thing, then, you'll notice that there's not many tanks in either team. However, most of the tanks in this game is the new Chinese tier 10 medium tank, the 121. And it is a glorious tank. I really, really like it. I'll make a preview of that for tomorrow. I hopefully get it done tonight. Sadly, you've got to wait ages to get into a battle, though. I'm talking like 5 minutes I've been waiting to get into some battles. This battle took me 3 minutes to get into. So it is, due to the lack of player base on the common test server, it's hard to get into games. But I will try and get something done on the new Chinese line ASAP. There it is. It's got a hell of an alpha on it for a medium tank. But the gun depression is torturous. But I'll talk about that in tomorrow's video. E5. Check it out without the hatch. It looks epic. It does. It looks like a little beast. And I've mentioned the cheeks so many times, only because it's just, it makes such a difference. If you're pointing your gun at something and you hold down, you are now a very, very tough target. If you are not pointing your gun at something, people are just going to lay into your cheeks all day long. But that's nice, because previously nobody would waste time trying to look for a weak spot next to your gun. What they would do is just launch straight into the top of your tank. Now granted, that previous commander's hatch, when you were using gun depression, it could be very, very troll because it was angles. So it wasn't all bad. However, now without it using gun depression, and remember in the last update, the armour behind the gun mantlet went up to something stupid like 253 because it was previously a weak point. So frontally, pointing your gun at something, hold down on this, it's going to be a monster. If you use it correctly. Aside from that though, it still feels just as mobile as it did before. Nothing has changed in terms of rate of fire. So really the only thing I can see which has happened is that commander's hatch swapped out for a very small, very strong one. It's perfectly domed. It's pretty much the same hatch which is on the M48 pattern now. But I'm definitely going to be taking out my E5 more often. People would just spam the hell into that hatch, even if you got yourself in a solid position and you just fired away. It wouldn't matter because they just fire their way back into your hatch, and if they couldn't pen it because you were using your gun depression and trying to make it quite troll, well, they just fire heat. Either way though, there were situations where you could make that hatch quite troll and surprisingly bouncy, but only when using gun depression, and people would just fire at it all day long. Now you can get this thing solidly hull down, and you can be confident with it. I'm playing the cautious game here, by the way, purely because that Death Star's got more hit points, and he has enough alpha in that 1-to-1 to one-shot me from the health I'm at here. More importantly though, it means people are going to now have to start aiming at other parts of the tank, rather than just aiming for the top of your tank when you are hull down. Which in theory means you should be able to produce more bounces if they're trying to shoot other places on your turret, as long as you're pointing at them. Anyway, that is it for this video. I just wanted to go through the server, see what information I could find to confirm updates, buffs and nerfs to tanks basically, and share that with you as soon as I could. So thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye bye.